You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey, Days of Our Lives fans, I have got your weekly prediction edition. We're going to talk about Johnny crushing Chanel and Chad denying something. It's Belinda from Soap Dirt, and we've got predictions for EJ, for Beau and Shawn Brady, for Johnny and Chanel, for Chad and Cat, and also for Belle and EJ. And hey, if you're not following us, click that subscribe button. Let's dive right in. Our very first prediction: EJ knows who shot him, but is not going to tell the cops, at least not right away. So Monday spoilers have Susan Banks in Salem to visit her comatose son, Elvis Jr., and on Tuesday, EJ wakes up from his coma at last. So the question becomes, how long till he spills the beans about the shooter? And if you remember the other day, Rafe was going to watch that security footage, which seems very important because the guy got shot, but then he got distracted, and he hasn't gone to look at it. It's crazy. Anyway, on Thursday, when Sweeps kicks off, Kristen notices something kind of being off about EJ after he wakes up. So obviously a few things happened while EJ slept. Gabby was under suspicion, but she now seems in the clear. Melinda was arrested for loaning her gun to Ava, but she's cleared in the shooting itself. Kristen was cleared because her gun didn't match the striations on the bullet they got out of EJ. Kate insists she didn't do it. Johnny took the gun from the pub. And of course, Roman's been thinking about that gun and EJ a whole lot. So they're still trying to present it fully as a whodunit with several viable candidates left as the shooter. Plus, while EJ was sleeping, Sammy and Belle bickered at his bedside. And of course, his mom's going to show up next week to coddle him. So by the time EJ wakes up, I think he should remember fairly quickly who shot him, because he very specifically looked at them and said, "What are you doing?" But is he going to ID them to the police or pretend like he doesn't remember and buy some time while he decides what to do? Because my leaker told me that it's Rachel Black that did it. And very interestingly, the new actress playing Rachel Black debuts on the first day of Sweeps, which is Thursday, April 24th. So if it is her, EJ really has to think about it, whether the kid shot him on accident because they didn't really have a conversation, or she could have done it on purpose for him threatening her mom or getting rid of her namesake grandma, Rachel Blake. But the question becomes, would Elvis Jr. really send his niece to juvenile jail? Maybe. Our second prediction: Beau wakes up, but he does not remember that Shawn shot him. So spoilers for Friday say Shawn gets an update on his dad, Beau Brady. The last time that we talked about his coma was when Hope was in town for her dad, Doug Williams' funeral. And Hope had gone to Beau's bedside to tell him that she lost her dad and his fingers twitched. And she came to town and told Julie that Beau's fingers had moved a little, and it had her feeling pretty optimistic. She didn't stick around Salem for too long because she wanted to go running back to check on him and make sure that Beau was okay. So we know it's not going to be too long before Hope and Beau Brady are back to Salem. So obviously he has to be awake by then. And when he does come out of this coma, there's going to be a whole lot of information to process. One big question is, how much will Beau actually remember of the incident that put him in the coma? Because he was fighting off that brainwashing that Megan had done. He was, frozen for years, and then he was running around on this Kyriakis inspired obsession and wound up in Greece. And the good news is, I don't think that Beau actually knows that Shawn shot him, first of all. And even if he did, he wouldn't remember it. But I don't think he knows, because when Beau was facing off and he had a gun on Hope, Shawn was out of his line of sight when it happened. However, I do wonder if Shawn will go ahead and tell Beau, because confession's good for the soul and all that. Maybe because Shawn decides he can't keep it a secret, but the rest of the family may say that he doesn't need to tell his dad. But I kind of think he will. Our third prediction: Johnny may consider calling off the adoption. So EJ wakes up this week, and on Tuesday, Johnny's not sure how he feels about that. It's mixed emotions. Also this week, in spoilers, Chanel tells Johnny that Amy Choi agreed to let them adopt Tate and Sophia's baby. But by Friday, spoilers also say that Johnny has doubts about himself. So, Amy could still change her mind because EJ is awake, but also if for some reason it is Reckell that shot him, Amy might change her mind that a child in that house got a hand on a gun to shoot somebody. That may not bode well for the fate of this adoption. But then there's this whole thing with Johnny, and I think he's, one of the best DiMeras, other than when he was possessed by the devil. Chanel knows he'd be a good father. I don't think Johnny is going to think he'll be a good father, just because now that he knows his origin story and that EJ forced Sammy to sleep with him, Johnny is disgusted that he's the product of rape, so he feels like that has tainted him, and he may worry that this DiMera wickedness could wind up affecting a child that he adopted and is raising. So he may tell Chanel that he doesn't feel like he should be a dad, and he may even offer to let her go so that she can be a parent when he thinks maybe he shouldn't. Our fourth prediction, Chad panics and steps back from Cat. So Chad has been getting closer to Cat during the planning of this hospital fundraiser. They've had kind of some whimsical moments with a little bit of sparks here and there. Chad knows Cat has feelings for him, but she says she's trying to get rid of them because she knows Chad won't reciprocate. This coming week, in spoilers, Chad sees Cat with his and Abby's son and daughter, Thomas and Charlotte, and he notices that they're getting along, and that may affect him. And then Chad kind of feels a moment of chemistry with Cat when she is so excited that their fundraiser was a success, and there's some more sparks. This may be a tipping point where Chad realizes, I have this chance to move on with this woman, but it would be the wrong thing to do, completely disrespectful to Abby's memory to get involved with a woman who lied to everybody and pretended to be Abby, which is what Cat did. But also, everybody in Chad's life would hate him dating Cat. That's a big issue. Plus, Clyde Weston is still in a coma, and bottom line, Chad doesn't know if his wife is dead or alive because they couldn't find her remains. So he may feel like he can't move on until he gets these answers. And then, of course, we all know Billy Flynn has left Days of Our Lives. He wrapped filming a while back. There's still a few months left of his episodes to play out because of that 8 to 9 month tape to air delay over there. So just a side note, also, Chad, Cat, and EJ did a 60th anniversary photo shoot together, and Chad rejecting Cat might lead her to EJ, especially when you listen to our next prediction. So our fifth prediction, Belle loves EJ, but says she can't be with him. So this past week on Days of Our Lives, Belle Black, was sitting up at the bedside of EJ DiMera while he was in his medically induced coma. And Belle finally admitted she loves him, but of course EJ wasn't awake to hear it. But Hurricane Sammy heard it and rubbed it in Belle's face that EJ's her baby daddy. They have an unbreakable connection. She said hurtful things to Belle about EJ only being interested in her because he wanted to make Sammy jealous, just a lot of stuff. So now that Sammy's talked to Johnny and saw EJ, she left Salem again at the end of the week. She's not going to be there when he wakes up, but she can always call him once she finds out. So for that reason, Belle should probably go ahead and talk things through with EJ and say, while you were asleep, I said I loved you. Sammy heard it, but in the end, he's bad for her, and EJ may get dumped while he's fresh off of this coma because he's a criminal at heart, a lot like his dad, Stefano. Being with EJ means trouble for Belle's career and for her reputation as a law-abiding citizen. I really do like Belle with EJ, but I feel like she may call things off with him, and this may be some kind of wake-up call if he was shot by his little niece, Reckell, and then gets dumped fresh out of a coma. I mean, these things point to EJ needing to think about his life choices. And with Cat up at the hospital a lot, she could meet EJ before his release. And if Chad shuns her and Belle shuns EJ, who knows what might happen.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.